So Freddy got a rework and it's been on the PCB for a couple of days now. I could have made my video on the first day like most other DBD YouTubers and my views will probably be affected by the decision to not do that, but I really wanted to not make a knee-jerk reaction, so instead I slept on it and I played the PCB all stream for the past 2 days to really get a feel for the changes. I also extensively studied his changes before I played, so I went into each match knowing exactly how everything worked. That way my opinions are based on knowing the counterplay and not just on feel. Just very quickly, this one's for my Sadako viewers. They haven't fixed the demanifest bug, nor have they fixed Raiku's watch. I'm going to put up a comparison on screen quickly between its base, with and without the add-on.
Oh no, no.
I'll retest when the patch goes live and I'll make a more in-detailed video with regards to that just to keep you guys up to date. Anyway, let's get back onto Freddy. I've now played the PCB for about 8 hours on and off stream. Almost all of it is against Freddy and not playing as him, because to really get a feel for a killer's power, you need to play against it to truly understand how easy or how bad the counterplay is. I also played him to get a feel for how it is to play. Unfortunately, I only got to play one match versus real actual players and not bots, not through lack of trying, but because when I tried to play him again, I was stuck in the queue for 45 minutes and got bored, so I gave up because I'm not Otsort Hens and I can't pull a bunch of viewers in to try him in a custom games against actual real players. The TLDR is he is much stronger at countering the shift W, his pallets are kind of a meme, and his anti-loop is a lot worse. He can pressure gens better but lost the teleport mind game, which is a big deal as I thought it would be in my previous video, and leads to him losing a lot of distance in a lot of situations. So let's break it down, shall we? We're going to first start with his snares. This has gone from an ability which you set up like a trap killer to one that you throw out a bit like artist birds but on a 5-second cooldown. This ability has gone to being a reactive ability rather than a setup. Also, when a survivor is no longer in the dream world, it will increase their sleep bar by 30 seconds or it will increase it by halfway, assuming that they're not immune. We'll get onto that later. Since you throw them out, it means that you can use them very well if a survivor is trying to shift W between loops. This is where he is very obviously buffed, since before this change this was impossible since they were traps. However, this comes at a big cost of his incredibly poor anti-loop now. So let's just go through the numbers quickly. They increased how long you are hindered to 4 seconds up from 3 seconds. However, they nerfed how much you are actually hindered to 12% down from 15%. This is a monumental nerf because on live right now, you needed to put your snares in very specific places to get a hit, or you would just not get the hit because the slowdown would not be enough and they would make the pallet. Now the hinder is lower and the ability is a skill shot, so not only is it more inconsistent to hit the hinder, but when you do hit it, the power that is, you're no longer going to get the mouse ones that you used to because they just aren't moving as slowly. I noticed this very quickly, and once you notice it, you will work out just how weak he is at anti-loop. Watch other content creators playing with Freddy and you'll notice that most of their hits are survivors running between loops and not playing the pallet. I knew this, so to counter Freddy, all I did was I went somewhere where I knew there was a real pallet and I stayed on that loop as long as possible, preferably on the pallet side, because even if he hinders you with his power, you'll always get the pallet fast vault, unlike a window where you would get a medium vault. Then you want to disconnect to another loop when you can break line of sight with him, or when he breaks the pallet, because then you're going to have enough distance to not be affected by his hinder between loops, and of course you can avoid his snares by moving to the side when he throws one out. Once you realize this, you'll find out just how much time you can waste. Even when I was playing as Freddy, most of my hits were on people trying to shift W to different loops that they didn't really need to. There are some exceptions though, notably the Killer Shack and TL. Your snares are actually pretty decent to get a hit. It's also worth noting that you slow down while holding out a snare and you will reset Bloodlust every time you use it. Next up we have his pallets, since his snares and his pallets are base kit now. These have been changed quite a lot and quite frankly they kinda suck. First, he can now be stunned by his own dream pallets, so there goes my favourite Freddy pastime of hitting survivors after they think they can stun me. L. He can also explode them manually after 1.5 seconds, which will injure a survivor in the dream world when they're within 3 meters of it, or will put them in the dream world if they aren't already in it and they aren't immune. It's basically a meme. The delay to detonate the pallets in the first place is quite awkward to time, making actually getting the hit quite annoying. Not only this, but in Behavior's infinite wisdom, you can tell when a pallet is real or fake as a survivor the entire time, so the purpose of deception is essentially useless. Not only this, but you can also see when a pallet has been triggered by Freddy to explode, and you can see the explosion radius as can be seen here. This completely destroys the entire purpose of the dream pallets, which was to deceive survivors. Not only this, but most of the hits that you would get with these pallets you could have gotten anyway because you only really place them where pallets have already been used, also known as dead zones. Like here, when I use it, you'll see that she's in almost a complete dead zone and would have died anyway, and some may say, oh, she could have made that pallet over there. Well, she couldn't because the snare would have stopped that. So at most, it might save you maybe 5 seconds, hardly game changing. Also, because you can see the pallets in or outside the dream world and you know which ones are fake or not, you can just run around and just throw down the fake pallets anytime that you see them. And unless Freddy is running a specific add-on, you're not really going to be punished for it, and even if Freddy is running that specific add-on, you can just pre-run away from it. Next up, we have his teleport. He can teleport to any gen regardless of its current status, which is very nice. So it doesn't matter if it's blocked, it doesn't matter if it's completed, it doesn't matter if no one's on it, it doesn't matter if Stevie Wonder's on it, you're going to be able to teleport to it. He's now easily the best user of Dead Man's Switch, and in this match I managed to keep this mid-gen from being finished by constantly teleporting onto it when Dead Man's Switch ran out to re-enable it. They also decreased the cooldown of it to 30 seconds, the cooldown of the teleport, not Dead Man's Switch, from 45 seconds. So he can teleport more. He can also teleport to injured survivors who are healing. However, this is behavior, so they had to nerf something, that being his ability to cancel the teleport. Despite what some people might say, this has actually lowered the skill expression of this ability, and it has really bad ramifications for multiple reasons. First, if he does it in a chase, just run at him because he can't cancel it, nor can he attack while he is teleporting, making running at him the best way to make distance. Not only this, but if you're doing a generator and he begins to teleport, just instantly pre-run because you know for a fact that he is going to teleport onto that generator. This will give you a disgusting amount of distance on him. It also means that when behavior bone you with a terrible target priority of abilities such as teleport, you might end up on the other side of the map with no way to stop it, losing you a lot of time. It also creates situations where if you begin to teleport and you spot a survivor near, you just can't do anything about it. Like here. Yeah, you can't do anything about it, pal. I'm already out. I'm gone, skis. Look at all that distance you just lost. Run away, Sable. He's after me. Run. Run. You can also tell when he's teleported because a big ring appears around him when he's teleported. Also, if you see smoke around your feet, that means he can teleport onto you. Lastly, we have the thing that literally nobody is talking about, and that's getting out the dream world. You can now use any clock to get out the dream world. Watch how quickly I leave the dream world once Freddy drops chase with me. But no one's touched the gen in like the past 20 minutes. We went from like the CEOs of efficiency to the CEOs of sucking peen. .7 seconds. So for 9.7 seconds of my time, I deny him anti-loop for a guaranteed 30 seconds, since that's how long I become immune before I can begin to be put into the dream state again, so that he actually has some anti-loop. This isn't an outlier, by the way. This is the average amount of time it was taking me to leave the dream state. Not only this, but the clocks maintain the temporary immunity of getting back into the dream world when you interact with him, but it has been lowered from 45 seconds to 30 seconds. But that doesn't really mean anything if you can just use any clock.
But wait!
You can wake your teammates up in 5 seconds forever. They removed the mechanic where if you woke a teammate up, the next time they would have to wake up from a teammate, it would take longer. The result is you can stay out the dream world basically the whole match without really wasting any time running across the map like you had to before, forcing Freddy to put you into the dream world to begin with. Since you still keep the immunity too, and it's so easy to just find a clock to get out, it results in situations where you just don't have a power if you choose to chase these players, encouraging you to drop chase on them, which most of the time means that you're going to end up wanting to tunnel somebody else who is actually not in the dream world who you've already injured. Everyone's just like leaving the dream world, bro. Like, what am I? Which, by the way, I was playing against someone else streaming in this match, and they were complaining about me tunneling because every time I tried to chase anyone that wasn't this Lara, they were just completely immune to my power. No half-passable Freddy is ever going to chase the survivors who are constantly immune because you literally don't have a power. This is going to become a big issue when it hits live and everyone and their grandma is constantly at the dream world in these lobbies that actually have decent survivors. In conclusion, is this Freddy rework good? I think it's like a lot of things behavior does. Fantastic ideas with questionable execution of those ideas. I think his overall power level is going to be higher in most lobbies just because there's a lot going on with his kit, and if being a Sadako main has taught me anything, it's when there is a lot of moving parts on a kit, a lot of survivors would rather bitch and complain until something is nerfed rather than actually bother to learn the counterplay, no matter how many crutches to that kit you give the survivors. It's literally happening right now. There is a forum post complaining his new kit has an ability that allows you to teleport to asleep survivors that are healing, and this applies to healing slugs. I find it highly likely as a result of this that one of the most effective ways to play Freddy will be a slug-only no-hook playstyle. Here is another direct quote from the patch notes of the Freddy rework. Survivors wake up when put in the dying state. That means they have literally added there is already base kit anti-slug mechanics, because this means the only way a Freddy can teleport if you're reviving a slug teammate is if you, pick them up while you're asleep, because they can't be asleep because they leave the dream state when they go down. So I see this and I think, okay, so if I don't want Freddy to teleport on top of me while I'm reviving my teammate, I'll spend the 9.7 seconds it takes to leave the dream state from any clock in the map before I revive my teammate. But no, he's going to be a slugging monster apparently, because like I said, it doesn't matter how many counters you put on the killer powers, it will never be enough for people who flat out refuse to bother to learn the killer's power in the first place, and all it does is make playing these killers with 400 counters and tells on their powers impossible against good survivors, because you can't mind game them when they have all the information. I may seem passionate about this, and it's because my main Sadako has been completely annihilated by this design philosophy, and I literally cannot play her against good survivors anymore because they just have too much information. And it may seem like this small change is irrelevant, which honestly it is a little, but it's a slippery slope. Today it's I can't be bothered to spend 9.7 seconds to leave the dream state to pick up a slug. Tomorrow it's Freddy is too good at hit and running, he shouldn't be able to have killer instinct on injured survivors. The day after it's we need more clock immunity because I'm always in the dream state. You just need to actually believe that the survivors can learn the counterplay to a killer. If you force them to learn the counterplay to the killer rather than constantly balancing around people who can't be bothered, then they might actually bother to learn to counterplay these killers rather than just expecting you to nerf the killers around them. So mark my words, expect Freddy to be barraged with nerfs to cater to these kinds of players. Now remember, I have actually learnt the counterplay and I've won most of my matches on the PTB in solo queue because I knew the counterplay. I knew what to do, when to do, and how to do it. And some people are going to go, oh well, think about the solo queue. Look, I believe that solo queue is capable of great things. Solo queue needs to actually learn how to start playing against killers. We can't just balance every single thing about solo queue players refusing to learn killer powers unless you want to just play against Blight and Nurse every single match, because that's the result. That's why everyone and their grandma is playing Blight, Nurse and Hillbilly, because everyone knows that counterplay to those three killers, and anytime you try and play any other killers, they just get nerfed into the floor because no one can be bothered to learn their counterplay. So, as for changes I think they should do, I think the pallets definitely need something. At least remove being able to tell which ones are real and which one are fake, so we can actually trick survivors. If you can't immediately tell what are fake, I would honestly not mind keeping the stun. I also would remove the radius at least when you're blowing up the pallet. You can keep the effect it does on the pallet, so there is some tell, so you don't just instantly die, but at least make it so you can't see the massive radius. You shouldn't have perfect information as to how large the radius is. I know this turned into a bit of a rant at the end and I apologise. I'm just really tired of playing against the same 4 killers every single match, and anytime a killer gets a rework that has more to their power than me go dash at the survivor, they end up getting dumpstered by behaviour. Freddy is actually really fun to play against right now because he has a lot going on in his kit, and it's actually fun to think about it all at the same time. I've been having a blast on the PTB not playing against Blight number 53, and honestly Freddy is kind of weak at the moment. Probably C tier if you really want me to put a grade based on my 6+ hours playing against him, and hopefully he doesn't get drop kicked come live. But if the forum reactions are anything to go off, I wouldn't hold your breath. Anyway, hopefully I'll catch you in the next one. See you next time, gamers.